my work typically centers around houses and mid-century architecture, which had a lot of hope and optimism behind it. And just thinking now, you know, in these current events, what is our view of mid-century architecture? What is mid-century architecture's role in today's world with this, you know, housing collapse, with this houses just kind of crumbling and melting down, widespread foreclosures and all that? So thematically, this kind of all ties in too. I'm hoping this all works as a cohesive whole, and the great thing about doing a gallery show versus a single piece is that you can really explore a theme, you know, over a series of paintings, and you know, paintings kind of relate to each other. They sort of, it's almost think of it cinematically, like you know, the first act, second act, the third act of a movie. So I'm sort of hoping these paintings tell a story. Shake it up a little bit. I thought, I don't know, to a certain extent, the preciseness is getting boring, and I just kind of wanted to play around and create just a little more visual interest in the surface, because I've always liked paintings that seem to have a lot of layers to them, a lot going on. So what I'm doing here now is you see a lot more layers. There's sort of like a brown underpainting and these blues that come in, and some whites and darks kind of mingling, as well as you know, some of this kind of splatter and some of the drip coming down. So, you know, I wanted to make these a little more visually interesting. Well, I think every artist kind of needs to grow and need to do something that's fulfilling, you know. And I mean, look at Gerhard Richter, you know, just a stunning photorealist, and then turning into complete abstraction. And I'd say that worked out pretty well for him. So I think it's important for artists to challenge themselves. It's the only way to grow. I do feel that it's more and more difficult to remain optimistic with a lot of things going on in the world, a lot of current events, and maybe you could call this just a release, or you know, I don't know. But you know, I think a lot of my other work was pretty bright and sunny, and it's sort of difficult to have, you know, the light without the dark and the dark without the light. So I think they kind of go well together. I've been fortunate enough to meet some amazing artists who have also, you know, really helped me along the way. I try to see Kenny Harris whenever I can, and his wife Judy, and let's see, Jeff McMillan, who's worked with the Long Beach Museum of Art, is just a really nice guy. Same with Nathan Spohr, and you know, when I see these guys, I love hanging out with them and I love talking with them. But I don't know. Maybe I should hang out with more artists. You know, after this, there's a lot of kind of directions I can go in. I think I will be working with the Hotel Lautner down in Desert Hot Springs. It's a beautiful mid-century hotel designed by the famous architect John Lautner, and I'll be doing I think like a poster for them for their big modernism week coming up in February. So that should be great, and doing a little exhibit with them. So there's that, and you know, really I'm trying to break into the New York market, and going to talk to some galleries regarding showing out there, because I'd really like to, you know, take my work and the idea of kind of mid-century stuff and apply it to the big city. And I was photographing the famous TWA terminal, designed by Eero Saarinen, and it's just a beautiful piece of mid-century architecture, and I wanted to kind of try to build a show around that, as well as you know, other kind of mid-century buildings throughout New York, and hopefully, possibly some interiors, maybe some lofts that being pretty challenging to find a lot of, you know, mid-century stuff. But you know, the mid-century design is so popular because it was such good, groundbreaking design. It's still relevant today, and I think, you know, if you look for it, you can find a lot of it still intact in New York.
How close to being done is this?
Well, you know, that's the toughest thing, but you know, I still need to kind of finish this and do the ground, and these are actually going to be, you know, all flowers in here and here, and there's a tree that I kind of painted over in here, and a big tree in here that I've kind of painted around, and so I got to kind of fill that stuff in, foliage on the side. And it's weird, you know, it's always tough to estimate working time because, you know, sometimes you get in the zone and things you would think would take forever just kind of click. You know, they just come out exactly the way you want them to. And other times it's a complete struggle and it takes forever. I just thought, wow, trying to really capture this rain would be an interesting concept. So that sort of led to the creation of this series as well. But I think realism allows people to sort of enter this world a little easier. This, you know, the world that you create on canvas easier. I think in certain ways, you know, abstraction can block some of that. You know, a little more difficult to access some of that. And I think it's also in certain ways intimidating. I know a lot of people that will just kind of throw their arms up and say, you know, oh, that's not for me, or, you know, I'm not smart enough to get that, or something. And I think the thing with realism is it's very accessible, and in that way you can kind of, you know, draw people in and then have them kind of focus on thematically what you're trying to convey.
Do you think you'll ever do human beings?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to. It's something that I know I'm not particularly skilled at, so I like a good challenge. Tell a story.
What story do you think this building tells you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's, I think, kind of old Hollywood, and, you know, one of the original buildings in this area, probably due to its proximity to, you know, the city downtown. Yeah. So, you know, I start out with. I do like a base layer, like on that painting up there, how it's like kind of sepia tone, blacks and whites and browns, and I start out and I do that kind of base layer, and for that, you know, I'm really paying particular attention to the photo, and then once I kind of get the base layer down, it's kind of like having a map. You can kind of navigate the final painting a lot easier. So I'm less reliant on the photograph. But still, you know, to get kind of colors and the right, you know, look, the right feel, you gotta constantly use the photo for a reference. You know, ultimately, I'm in the business of making really good, compelling pictures, and you know, for that, I feel I can take certain artist liberties to correct things, to make things brighter or darker, shift things around in order to meet whatever kind of message I'm trying to convey. That kind of happens. You know, it's kind of like a sculptor that gets a block and has to kind of chisel away to finally bring out something that's realistic. Actually